My name is Sharon Steitler. I'm from Minnesota in the United States. I write about birds and sometimes I lead trips. And I have a website called birdchick.com.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
I did not know that much about Uganda. I knew about some of the political history. I knew you had a shoe bill, and I knew it was a developing nation, but I didn't know very much about it, and I was looking forward to learning as much as I possibly can.
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
This has been a life-changing trip for me. All the guides have a very different definition of we're not going to be that close. We must keep this distance away. I wasn't prepared for how close we would be to gorillas or chimpanzees, and seeing the shoebill was a lifelong dream of mine. But also even something as simple as the marabou storks or the superb starling and all the variety of kingfishers, and just how friendly and warm all the people have been, especially the children, wherever we went. I'm overwhelmed by the beauty of this country, the diversity of the wildlife, and just the generosity and the hospitality of the people.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
This is an amazing place to visit. I would say it's a must-do destination. How can you go wrong where two of the species you can get is a gorilla and a shoebill? It's also quite something to stay in a lodge and have hippopotamuses roaming on the lawn.
My name is Carlos Betancourt. I'm from Panama. I am a professional bird guide in Panama, also in charge of marketing and tour leading in the country.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
Before coming to Uganda, I have no idea what to expect in terms of how the country is. And my first question was, is this place safe? Just being here and talking to other birders or naturalists, I got the impression that it was okay to do. So I say, yes, I want to go to Uganda. And let me tell you, seeing the wildlife, people are smiling and happy. I feel so safe that I just wanted to come back. My expectation were very low and now they're very, very high. It's a great country. The people in Uganda have made my trip very special.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
To all my friends, to every people that I know, Uganda is an amazing place. This is a place to come and visit, to enjoy wildlife, the gorillas, the chimpanzees, the birds, the hippos, the different habitat you see here. This is a place to come and visit. And the most important thing, the people in Uganda is wonderful.
My name is Megan Crew. I'm from the United States, but I live in England, and I am a senior tour guide with Field Guides Incorporated, a bird watching tour company based in Austin, Texas, in the United States.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
So before I came to Uganda, I didn't know much about the country other than what I'd learned in my history classes. So things like Idi Amin, various conflicts, and it sounded kind of like a scary place.
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
A lot of my family and friends were a little nervous that I was coming here. They didn't need to worry, because what I found when I came to Uganda is that this is an amazing country. It's beautiful, it's got spectacular landscapes, it's got amazing animals, it's got things that you see in places like Kenya, which might be better known to some people, but they've also got mountain gorillas that you can get within 7 meters of. They've got chimpanzees. There's spectacular birding. There's boat trips with thousands of birds. It's been a revelation. The people are so friendly. Everywhere you go, people are waving and smiling. It's been amazing.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
The message I'd give to my friends about Uganda: don't believe everything you've heard about how scary Uganda is. It's not scary. Come to Uganda. You will go home with a very different view of Uganda. It's an amazing place. Come and visit.
My name is Michael O'Brien. I'm from Cape May, New Jersey, USA, and I'm a tour guide with Victor Emmanuel Nature Tours.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
Honestly, I hadn't never been to Africa before, so I hadn't thought that much about the difference between the different countries. So I would think about all the big game mammals, and I knew there were lots and lots of different kinds of birds here. And it wasn't until I met Herbert, actually, that I started to connect Uganda with some pretty specific things, like the shoebill stork, a special bird that lives here. The mountain gorillas is something that really captivated my attention. And I knew there were all sorts of other amazing birds here. It got me interested in Uganda.
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
My experience here has been amazing. We've been traveling around Uganda for 2 weeks now, seeing some amazing sights, mammals and birds, and I've been incredibly comfortable. The people have all been incredibly friendly. The accommodations we've stayed at have been clean and comfortable. That to me, that means so much as far as a travel destination. And that just made the difference for this trip. It was just such a fabulous trip because of that.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
This is not only incredibly rich with wildlife, but it is a great place to visit. See some amazing sights and just have a very relaxing, comfortable vacation.
Hi, I'm Tonya Cochran. I'm from Australia and I run a company called Inala Nature Tours. I'm also one of the lead guides for that company and I employ bird guides around Australia, and we also do international tours.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
I'm very embarrassed to say that I didn't know a lot about Uganda before I came. I knew you had shoebills and I knew you had gorillas. And the general perception when I told people that I was coming was, oh, isn't it dangerous to come? Do you think you'll be safe?
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
The perception when I came is totally different to my perception of Uganda now. I had no idea of the number of birds, the amount of animals, the wonderful forests that you have, and most of all, the wonderful people that you have. I think that's been one of the highlights of my trip, that everybody has been so happy and friendly and helpful. And it's just really changed. You know, I now want to be an ambassador for Uganda. I want everybody to come. I want everybody to see the real Uganda, not the perception from the outside world. You've got to come to see the real Uganda. It's just a real gem.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
The rest of the world and my friends, everybody, I'm going out there to say, come to Uganda. You've got to come, otherwise you're going to be the ones who are missing out. So we run tours around the world. I'm going to be advertising Uganda as one of my prime tour destinations, and I'm going to be advertising that probably more than most of my other tours. This has been a life-changing experience for me, and I really want my friends and my clients to have the same passion about the place as I do.
I'm Victor Yu from Taiwan. I'm the president of Ecotourism Taiwan, and I'm also the committee member of Asian Bird Fair. We promote ecotourism, especially birding tourism in Taiwan.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
I heard of Uganda before, and I've never been here. Everything is totally different from my previous impression. This is a good country with good wildlife, and it's very safe in Uganda.
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
Of course, we went birding first. Birds are totally different from my country. There are so many wildlife and so many good birds, totally different from Taiwan. We do gorilla trekking, we do chimpanzee trekking. I really love it.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
My message to my friend back home and to the world is that Uganda is a safe country, it's a good country with friendly people and friendly wildlife. It's a place you must visit again and again.
My name is Steve Hilty and I live in the United States, the state of Kansas. I work for a company called Victor Emmanuel Nature Tours, which does bird watching, photography, and natural history trips. I also work independently as an author on both books and scientific and popular articles.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
I would say in first place I was a little bit overwhelmed with the bird diversity and the complexity of some of the groups of birds here, like the weavers and the greenbulls. And I would say for any bird watcher or birder that comes here, this place would be about as close to paradise as you're going to get. And add on the fact that you have some opportunities to do specialty wildlife like the gorillas and the chimpanzees and also the shoebills in the papyrus swamps. Makes this place an absolute dynamic place for seeing wildlife and for photographing wildlife as well.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
First thing I would say is that among people in the United States, Uganda is probably not a very well-known country, and people typically associate it with some political upheaval of the past in the 1980s during the era of Idi Amin. My message would be that that is over. I found Uganda to be an extremely peaceful country. The People are extremely friendly. Children just marvelous, and I would recommend this highly as a tourist destination, and especially for someone that's interested in birds and wildlife and seeing some of the specialty like the gorillas and the chimpanzees.
My name is Richard Crossley. I am English, but I live in Cape May, New Jersey in America. I am best known as an author of bird books, the Crossley ID guides. I'm involved in a lot of other things with wildlife.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
I had a very open mind coming to Uganda. I'd been to South Africa, Nairobi and Kenya before. I love Africa, so I expected to love Uganda. Uganda has been pretty much what I expected. The one thing I wasn't really expecting was how friendly and open the people were. Seeing all the smiling faces throughout the trip has been one of the many highlights, but something I really love.
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
There are so many experiences here that have been unbelievable. The birding has been better than what I expected. There are more birds and there are more dynamic birds, the type of birds that people like myself will never forget, either for their behavior, their colors, just for so many reasons. So incredible for birds. And when you add this to gorillas, chimps, the safaris, it makes it an incredible destination. Quite different to some of the places east of here like Kenya, but in many ways it has more to offer just because of the brilliance of the birds and all the primates, as well as having other great things like the big animals. So fantastic place, love it here.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
The message I would give to my friends is you got to come here. You have all these dynamic experiences with the birds, with the animals, and with the people. So it's a beautiful country. So it's a country, felt really safe. We stayed in great accommodations. The food's been fantastic. I think it's because a lot of the food's actually quite English, which I love. And so I would highly, highly recommend it to my pals, for sure.
My name's Eric Ostrander. I'm a co-host of the podcast Hen and Eric Go Birding from Oregon in the United States. We just finished up here our last 2 weeks in Uganda, having a spectacular time.
What were your thoughts about Uganda prior to arriving?
I hadn't given Uganda too much thought. I'd never been to anywhere in Africa, so I didn't really know what to expect. I hadn't done very much research before about Uganda.
What was one of your favorite experiences in Uganda?
Basically every day has exceeded the previous day's excitement. We haven't really had any day of anything less than mind-blowing excitement for wildlife and birds and the plants and the lizards and just everything. We had, coming out of Lake Maburo one evening, we stopped in a motte of trees that was just like exploding with bird life. I think there was 50 species, 45, 50 species of birds. They were just all over the place. We were close to the evening. Ended up finding a whole bunch of giraffes just outside of it. And then as the sun set, we started headed back towards the tented camps and found a leopard just right there next to the road, kind of wandered away from us. It was a little too dark for photos, but we all got spectacular looks at this giant cat walking off into the savannah.
Why do you think people should consider coming to Uganda to go birding?
The bird species, the diversity, we saw almost 400 species of birds in the few days, the 2 weeks that we were here. We only traveled to a small portion of the country. There's a significant portion left we have yet to explore. We were just down in the southwest, so there's still the northwest and northeast that we could hit and get more bird species. We had zebras, we had giraffes, we had lion, we had elephants. There's lots and lots of reasons to come to Uganda.
My name is Dominic Cousins. I am a writer, mainly do a few bird tours as well. I write about travel, about bird behaviour, and fortunately for me, my travel writing has taken me all over the world, which is a wonderful way to spend time. So Uganda's a very special addition to that.
So what was your perception about Uganda before you came?
I certainly had some idea of what to expect here, and I've seen quite a few of the birds. Most British people know about Uganda is about the mountain gorillas, and about 40 years ago David Attenborough did a program where he visited a mountain gorilla group and they were all over him, and it was an absolutely iconic TV moment, and so everyone in Britain knows about mountain gorillas.
How was your experience birding in Uganda?
It was tremendous. I didn't expect really to see quite as many birds as we did. I think we approached something like 350 species in just 10 days. And that kind of diversity is always mind-blowing. I also knew about the chimps. The actual number of birds, every time you went somewhere there was something completely different. So you go on you see a bird, get familiar with that, go on a drive, and then something completely different turns up. And so that is something that really was exciting. So you never knew what was around the corner.
What message do you have for other people about Uganda?
Come here. That is the only message. I think we all have been in an experience recently with the pandemic where life has been a bit harsh on us, and now is the time to get out there, go and see something that you've always wanted to see, something super special. I would definitely recommend Uganda as one of the very most exciting places you could possibly go. So don't even hesitate, just come out here and see it for yourself.
My name is Ted Floyd. I am the editor of Birding Magazine, published by the American Birding Association, and I also write bird books.
What was your perception about Uganda before you came?
Growing up in the 1970s and the 1980s in the United States, I had heard a little bit about the political difficulties in Uganda. Since that time, I came to appreciate that there was an awful lot of Afro-tropical wilderness. I knew where Uganda was on a map, right on the equator in East Africa, on the shores of Lake Victoria. And I knew a little bit about the sort of Albertine Rift, but I would say that I didn't really know a great deal about Uganda.
So what was the most unexpected thing you experienced while in Uganda?
I have a singular answer for that. It was a roost of thousands of straw-colored fruit bats that we saw along the road during one of our long afternoon trips. The guide just stopped us short, and we could hear them. These are day-flying bats, so they call during the day, and it was just stirring to watch thousands of them in the sky above us.
What message do you have for people back in the U.S. about traveling to Uganda?
Come on, come visit Uganda. It was just such a wonderful experience. The people were sort of legendarily friendly, but you really have to sort of see it for yourself. But the people in Uganda were so engaged and genuinely curious and interactive. Also, as our 2 weeks together here sort of progressed, I was really encouraged by the number of young birders and ornithologists, folks in their teens and their 20s, and particularly gratifying to me was to see so many young women involved in birding and ornithology.
Hi, my name is Hannah Buschert. I am a podcaster. I host a couple podcasts, including Hannah and Eric Go Birding and Women Birders Happy Hour. Additionally, I am into conservation and women birders around the world. I'm a board member with the International Conference for Women Birders that'll be coming up soon, as well as on the Birding Co-op board. So I love birding, and I am so excited to be here in Uganda.
What was your perception of Uganda before you got down here?
Basically, everything I knew about Uganda came from folks who had already been here on previous trips. And I saw their pictures and heard their stories and thought it's just an incredible place to visit. But, you know, I really didn't know what I was getting into coming here. There's so much to see and so much to do that I could have never anticipated.
So how was your overall experience down here?
It was an incredible experience. It was so incredible to hang out with so many women birders, especially at Ride for a Woman Hotel that we stayed at for a couple days, and as well as the women birders that we met here in Entebbe and in Kampala with the African Bird Expo. So great to hang out with them, to bird with them, learn about their experiences.
What message do you have for people that are thinking about coming to Uganda?
It's totally a fantastic place to go in Africa. When I had never known where I was going to go in Africa, I knew I wanted to see things like lions and giraffes and elephants, and I didn't really know whether or not I was going to see that in Uganda, but I did. I saw lots of them. It was a great experience, and you should definitely come out and come to the International Conference for Women Birders December 2023. Meet me and a lot of other women birders and see some of these incredible things that Uganda has to offer.
I'm Doug Gotchfeld, and I lead tours for Field Guides birding tours. I lead all over the world, and I've done a lot of birding in surveys, especially in the U.S., but also some other places abroad, doing migration surveys, stuff like that. So.
Prior to coming to Uganda, what did you think about the place?
I knew that Uganda had the best place to see shoebills apparently, and then mountain gorillas, and I didn't really have a fully formed opinion of Uganda. I was actually looking forward to meeting all the people that were going to be on the trip with me.
What was something that was unexpected that you experienced while in Uganda?
I wasn't prepared for the diversity of habitats. I didn't realize that there were such extensive savannas, basically these really, really beautiful lowland forests and mountains with higher elevation, as well as great open spaces with the amount of giraffes and elephants, the amount of big game. Kind of had an idea that we would see maybe some zebras, and we had a chance to see elephant and all over, and we had some phenomenal experiences. The boat rides we had on Lake Maburo. So it was just a really good diversity of habitats and diversity of large animals that I wasn't expecting.
So what do you think people back in the U.S. should know about visiting Uganda?
It's a really overlooked country. Of all the countries in Africa, people think about Kenya, they think about Tanzania, but there seems to me to be no place with the combination of animals and experiences that Uganda has. And it's not just their savannas aren't, you know, acacia dotted savanna. There was this really interesting palm savanna that we saw up at Murchison Falls. The scenery, the landscapes, Murchison Falls itself is phenomenal. The view from the hills looking over Queen Elizabeth National Park, the ethereal feel of the forest at Bwindi, it was all really fantastic. I think Uganda gives a combination of experiences that nowhere else in the region, nowhere else in the world can give. When you pair all these classical African experiences like giraffes and hippos and elephants with shoebill and gorilla and chimpanzee, there's no other place like it.
I am an ecologist who also works as a tour leader.
I am a biologist or an ecologist, and I work for the government, and I've done a bunch of research on birds, and I've had an association with universities so I can get grad students that can study birds.
What did you guys think about Uganda before coming here?
I found myself disappointed in myself in that I hadn't really prepared much for coming to the continent of Africa. It was always an intention of mine. Which country I would go to first was, when I found out it was Uganda, I immediately sort of jumped into looking for the right information to give me a picture. But I was struck by other people's travels, nature documentaries, and I assumed that I was going to see a mix of forest, of savanna, of big game. Birds, I was kind of in the dark, you know, and it was getting a field guide that really opened my eyes to. That was a preconception that I'd be coming to see a lot of birds, as well as the big mammals.
Never heard of anyone traveling to Uganda before, like friends of ours or people we know that have gone to Kenya or South Africa and that. And so I was thinking that it didn't have as much expansive savanna and all the big game species that they had. I didn't expect to see as many bird species and as tiny birds as I saw, and the big birds, right? And just like the sheer colors and brightness. And
so what was one of your favorite things on our trip through Uganda?
My immediate reaction would be just colors. You know, the variety, the diversity, the colors, non-stop action. My brain was always being challenged by what's the next. Diversity is the key.
I knew everybody wanted to see the shoebill, and I didn't really understand why, because I thought it was going to be pretty ugly. And but I was just struck by how huge it was, like something from Jurassic Age, and that was just like the first wow. And some of my favorite birds are kingfishers and all their brilliant blues and that kind of thing. That was like pretty awesome.
So what message are you going to share with your friends when you get back home about Uganda?
Get over
Come.
here. Yeah, get over here. You can't miss this. There's a lot of options, but this is obviously a top one. You just have to encourage people to come and see it for themselves.
The combination of birds plus the mammals, and lodges are very well set up. They really give you kind of a unique experience, and I really like that.